Okay, so let's review some sample problems of type of problems we're going to see in exam number 3. Again, as I always mention, this is not everything that's going to be in exam number 3. There's a lot of conceptual questions, so please take a look at the review that I have on Blackboard and study the PowerPoint slides in the book. Mostly with the review and the PowerPoint slides, you probably could capture everything. But I'm going to review some of the problems that we have on the test here, okay? These are similar to what's going to be on the test. So let's do the first one. It says Parker uses a perpetual inventory system. Its beginning inventory in 2016 was $150,000 and it had an ending inventory for that year of $75,000. Okay. Parker had gross purchases for the year of $250,000 and took a total of $25,000 in purchase discounts, okay? Parker's cost of goods available for sale and cost of goods sold for 2016 is. So we want to calculate those two, right? So let's begin. Let's start off with beginning inventory. Beginning inventory. Beginning inventory is going to be 150,000, right? That was our beginning inventory. And to that, we're going to add our purchases, right? So how much did we purchase? Add purchases. It says that we purchased a gross of $250. But did we really purchase $250? No, because we got $25,000 in discount. So we have to take the discount out. Discounts. So let's take the discounts out, 25,000. Let's put 25,000 here, but we remember this you have to subtract, not add. Okay? So cost of goods available for sale is cost of goods available for sale. That's going to be, make this nice and neat, 150,000 plus 250,000 that you purchased. You started with 150, you purchased 250, but of that 250 you really didn't pay 250, you got 25,000 in discount. So you had a total of $375,000 available for sale. So that's the answer to the first question, right? Now you want to know how much was your cost of goods sold. Well, think of this logically. If you had 375 to sell and you ended with 75, how much did you sell? Well, that's pretty easy, right? All you have to do is subtract the ending inventory. Ending inventory. And that ending inventory was 75,000. Therefore, you must have sold, let's put here cost, oops, there's something wrong here. Cost of goods sold. You must have sold 375 minus 75. You must have sold $300,000 worth of inventory. Okay, so that's the answer. Cost of goods available for sale was 375 and cost of goods sold was 300,000, and that's how you calculate it. Okay, let's go to the next problem. Let's click over here. It says Carter desires to make a gross profit ratio of 35% on an item that costs $95 to produce. Carter will sell the item for how much? Okay, so unfortunately for those who don't like math, this is more of a mathematical problem, sort of like an algebra problem, right? Let's let me just give you an overview of what gross profit is and sales and gross profits and so forth and so on, right? So if you sell an item, let's put sales for $100, and the item cost you, cost of goods, and the item cost you, let's say $65, then your gross profit was how much? Gross profit is 100 minus 65, right? $35 was your gross profit. Okay, and what's the gross profit as a percent of sales? Well, in this case, coincidentally, it happens to be 35%. Let's put that in percentage, right? But that's not the answer. This is just an example. Why? Because my product costs 95, not 65. So I want to try to solve this with 95 instead of 65. So let's take the same labels here. Let's put them here, and let's just say, I know what this is, and this is 95, right? I have no idea what this is, and I have no idea what this is. How do I solve this problem? Well, we're going to have to use some algebra, right? We know that this has to be 35% of this. So if this is x, and those of you who hate algebra are probably cringing right now, but don't worry, it's not that hard. This must be what? This must be 0.35x, right? Because it's 35% of whatever this is. So now we can solve for this problem. Let's put it like that, right? Now let's solve. Let's take, how do we calculate this? We said that x minus 95 is going to equal 0.35x. Let's solve for x. Let's go ahead and do algebra. This 0.35 goes over here and this 95 goes over there, right? So x minus 0.35x. Notice how this is positive on this side. In algebra, when you go to the other side, you make it negative. So now we have minus 0.35x. Here it's negative, so you make it positive, equals 95. So now you're going to solve for x. X minus 1x minus 0.35x is how much? If you said 0.65x, you're right. Okay? Equals 95. Okay? Now this is multiplication, right? So what do you do when you have multiplication? 0.65x is like 0.65 times x. When you bring it over here, since it's multiplying over here, it has to be dividing down here, right? So you go x equals 95 divided by 0.65. And x is going to equal, well, let's do it right here, divided by 0.65. 146.15. Let's do it like this. Format cells. Let's make it a currency, right? Okay. 146.15. And that's the answer. That's your sales price. Let's plug it in to see if that's true. Okay. Let's plug it in over here. 146.15. My cost is 95. My gross profit is going to be this minus this, right? Is 51.15 35% of 146.15 the sales price? Well, let's see if that's true. Let's just take this divided by this, and it should give me a 0.35. And it does give me a 0.35. Okay? So it gives me 35%. So the answer, the sales price has to be 146.15. This is how you solve it. It's pretty much all algebra. So I apologize, but you're going to have basically an algebra question here. But it's applied to the business world, so you have to know how to do it. Okay? Let's go to the next problem. This one is on earnings per share. It says on December 31 of 2015, the Frisbee Company had 350,000 shares of common stock outstanding, right? issued and outstanding. And this says that on May 31, 2016, the company sold 25,000 more shares. So it has 25,000 more shares outstanding. Frisbee's net income for the year ended December 31, 2016 was $940,000. Okay, it says during 2016, Frisbee declared and paid $20,000 in cash dividends on its non-convertible preferred stock. It's non-convertible preferred, so it's preferred stock. So since it's preferred, since you paid it to preferred stockholders, you must subtract it from your net income to come up with earnings per share, right? Because you gave that money away to preferred stockholders. Had you given it to common shareholders, you wouldn't have subtracted it, okay? What are the basic earnings per share rounded? So the first thing that I want to do is get my weighted average shares, right? So how do I get my weighted average shares? We could do it this way. Let's go ahead and let's calculate the shares. It says that I started on January 1, I started with 350,000 shares. So those shares were outstanding for the full year, right? So we're going to give these shares a weight of 12 because they were there for 12 full months. And then we have, well, this is the month outstanding. That's not the weight, okay? The weight is going to be, what weight will I give this? Well, it was there 12 out of 12 months. So I take the month outstanding divided by 12, and it's going to have a weight of 1. That's the weight, because I'm going to do a weighted average shares, right? So on May 31st, 2016, the company sold another 25,000. So they have another 25,000. But this was not outstanding for the full year. This was outstanding for how long? It says May 31. So January, February, March, April, and May. The full month of May, it wasn't there, right? It started, you could pretty much say June 1st, right? So it was out for 5 months. It was in the company for 7 months. So what's the weight we're going to give that? Well, we're going to give it a weight of 7/12, right? That was the amount of, that's the weight that should get on a 4 month basis, right? So in order to get the weighted average, we're going to take the balance. Let's put the date here just so that you know. May 31, let's just put June 1, right? June 1. So it's outstanding for 7 months. I put June 1 even though it says here May 31. We pretty much started on June 1st. That's not going to make much of a difference. It's outstanding for 7 months, pretty much. Okay. So we take this and multiply it times the weight. And the weighted average balance for a full year would be 14,583. We take this and multiply it times the weight. And of course, it's going to be 350 because it was there the whole year. So the weighted average shares outstanding for the full year for this company was 364,583. Okay, that's very important because you're going to need this number in calculating earnings per share, right? Earnings per share equals basic earnings per share is going to be equal to net income divided by weighted average shares outstanding, right? So we've already calculated the weighted average shares outstanding. I'll give it that color. Okay, 364,583. What's the net income? Well, it says net income here, but you have to make adjustments to net income, right? Because you must subtract payments to preferred shareholders minus preferred shareholders dividends. Okay, so it says that we had 940,000 net income is 940,000, 1, 2, 3. You need to adjust that for the amount that was paid to preferred shareholders, right? So we're going to preferred shareholders dividends is 20,000. And so your numerator is going to be equal to this minus this. So that's what you're going to use as your numerator in this formula, 920. Okay, so basic earnings per share, you apply the formula over here. Basic earnings per share, is going to be equal to the 920 divided by the 364,583, and this should be a dollar sign, right? It should be $2.52 per share. Okay. Another way to look at this, maybe for some of you, you could also say that I had 350,000 shares outstanding for the first 5 months, right? And then I had 375,000 shares outstanding for the next 7 months, right? So this balance has a weight of 5 months, and this balance has a weight of 7 months, and you combine them, and it's 364,583. Notice you get the same results. This is just different way of looking at it, of thinking about it. Okay. So I say for the first 5 months, I had a balance of 350,000, so that's going to have a weight of 5/12. And for the next 7 months, I had a balance of 375, so that's going to have a weight of 7/12. I do the weighted average, and I come up with 364,583. It's the same. It's just a different way of looking at it. You could choose whichever one you are comfortable with. Choose it and stick with that one. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay, so this, I believe, will be, the next one, I believe, will be the last problem that we have for exam number 3. And remember, this is not the whole exam. These are just probably the most difficult problems, so I just focus on them so that you can have a little bit of a, give you a little bit of help on this. It says Brexit had total sales of 600,000 for the year. And its accounts receivable averaged 30,000 for the year. What was the average amount of days each sale remained in the receivable account before collection? Okay. So, first thing you want to do is you want to calculate the average sales per day. So the average sales per day is going to be equal to 600,000, right? 600,000 divided by 365. So what's 600,000 divided by 365? Let's do that over here. 600, 1, 2, 3, divided by 365 is 1,643.84. That's how much you sell on a daily basis. So the days in accounts receivable. So how many days this spends in accounts receivable? Well, if this is what you sell per day and your average receivable was 30,000, the days in accounts receivable is going to be calculated as 30,000 divided by 1,643.84. And so your answer is going to be 30,000 divided by 1643.84, and the answer is going to be, this is days. It should not be a dollar sign. So let's just take that out. This is just a number, okay? 18.25 days, okay? So this is it for exam number 3. Remember, these are just the problems. Study the review sheet and the PowerPoint slides, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.